Hello and welcome back. You're here with the Lone Wolf. Today's article is from fatherly.com and it's called What Happens to Men Who Stay Bachelors Forever According to Science. Men who never marry or have kids might not be as lonely as they seem. There is no perfect time to get married or to have kids, but when men follow through with both, it changes their lives forever. And conversely, men who never marry or have families are launched on a vastly different life trajectory. Society tends to teach us that a life of bachelordom and living single is the territory of best friends in rom-coms and those with intimacy issues. But this is, of course, far from the truth. In fact, new research shows that single and never married men lead healthy, fulfilling lives, you don't say, that are full of friends, sensitivity, and resilience, something that flies in the face of research that holds up marriage and family as the best and healthiest life destination for men. According to recent scientific studies, men who never get married may gain strength from solitude and have more extensive social networks and a deeper connection to work. They are also differently vulnerable to some of life's travails. Here are a few facts to consider. This article is going to tell us exactly what we know already, but it's good that it's being reaffirmed in the popular press and on blog posts like this one. Single men are rich in friendship. Single men are not necessarily isolated basement dwellers. Shock. In fact, they're significantly more likely than married men to have several close friends. 1 in 8 men reports having no friends at all, and a lot of these men are married with kids, despite the research that shows that friendships help people live longer lives, stave off cognitive decline, and increase general well-being. Guy friends are a precious public health commodity that single men have covered. And yes, I can absolutely relate to this. I have a lot of close friends that I socialise with on a daily basis, not just from work, but also beyond those networks. And also socialise with them online as well. So people in different countries. All that I've met in person, but we're just spread out across the globe. And all of this is very good for cognitive health and for social health as well. I mean, I remember back when I was a kid, I don't think that my dad had any friends at all. You could count on one hand the friends that my dad had. And that was until I was maybe early 20s. And that was a concern. I remember thinking at the time, like, why doesn't he have any friends? And the same was true, I think, for a lot of my uncles as well. They didn't have any real networks where they would have a huge group of friends that would go out still and socialise beyond the family setting. And I thought that was very worrisome and a very negative outcome. It's not good to be isolated and have no friends. I mean, there is a great deal of strength to be found in living alone and with solitude and, shunning the family commitments, especially in this day and age in the West. But it's very important to have friends that, socialise in person with other people. But pour in money, and this I'm going to disagree with this point. What single men gain in friends they lose in money, studies show. Men who stay unmarried make anywhere from 10 to 40% less than married men. There's evidence that fathers make up to 21% more than men without children. Those studies also suggest men with wives and kids work longer hours and put up with more workplace BS than single men. Well, of course, because they have to. If they're going to do a decent job of providing for their families, then they have to work those hours. Whereas if you're single, you don't. Now, this does not mean marriage and parenthood cause financial success, though anecdotally, that sure doesn't sound right. Indeed, other research argues that men are simply more likely to get married and have kids when their income is already rising. Either way, your unmarried, childless bachelor friends are probably making less money than you are. Yeah, but they need less money to spend, right? Any extra they can do if they want, they don't have to do it, they're not compelled to do it. If they're going to be a responsible parent, then they probably should earn as much as possible to provide for their family. But if you're on your own, you can work if you want to and just stack that cash and invest it, right? And that's what you should do, probably. Single men commit more crimes. Marriage reduces the likelihood that men will commit crimes, studies suggest, and data indicates that becoming a father quells criminal impulses even further. In societies with a disproportionate number of single men who cannot marry or have children, either as a result of polygamy or uneven S ratios, we tend to see higher crime rates, higher rates of extremism, and more time at war across the board. I mean, on the one hand, you could say that you don't have time to commit crimes because you're too busy working, right? You don't have time to rob anywhere because you're out down at the warehouse or at the office or at the construction yard earning money to support your family. So there's a time constraint. But yes, I'll grant you that there's a sense of commitment and responsibility to the family environment, to the family setup that, you shouldn't be a criminal. But to say that marriage reduces that likelihood, I mean, you're either a scumbag or you're not. You don't want to be going out there inflicting pain and suffering on other people or robbing them. And you generally want to be an upstanding member of society, whether you're single or whether you're married, right? So there's that. But bachelors are more sensitive to feelings of judgment and regret. When men cannot have their own biological children due to fertility problems, studies suggest they may experience a period of bereavement and regret. And when they can't have children because they can't find partners, they're more likely to be judged by others and more likely to lash out. The perception of being judged for the inability to marry and have kids has stoked the rise of a dangerous group of extremists who refer to themselves as involuntary celibates, or ICs, a number of whom have orchestrated mass shootings. Married dads are far less likely to feel disenfranchised, at least in this way. Yeah, there's the blanket labelling again of one group of people. So if you're single and you're unable to marry, you're more likely to go down and run over a load of people in a van because you can't get women, which is nonsense. I mean, that's like saying that if you're Muslim or you ascribe to the Islamic faith, that you're more likely to commit an atrocity, a terror attack, which would be ludicrous. You would not see that in print. Being single doesn't necessarily mean being lonely. The good news for bachelors is that scientists are starting to suspect they've underestimated the upsides of being alone. Despite warnings of a loneliness epidemic, single men without children report deeper connections to friends, parents, and other family members, as well as to their work. Single people have a heightened sense of self-determination. I've used those words a lot on this channel. And are more likely to continue growing as people, one study found. Absolutely. Can totally relate to that. I've seen people in my extended family who have started families, had kids, and all of that stuff. All of the other career objectives and dreams and ambitions that they ever had when they were kids have gone out the window, right? Completely gone out of the window because they have to put the new children first. But for someone like myself, I'm still learning. I'm still pursuing career objectives and goals and traveling and trying to excel in every area of my life. That, if there was another person I was responsible for, other people, I wouldn't be able to do that to the same degree. To continue, bachelors also may demonstrate more emotional self-sufficiency, especially when it comes to dealing with negative emotions. I mean, yeah, if you spend any time on your own, you're going to learn to be self-sufficient. That's just a given. But it still isn't entirely clear what it does mean for the individuals. The preoccupation with the perils of loneliness can obscure the profound benefits of solitude. Bella DePaulo, a scientist at the University of California, Santa Barbara, told the American Psychological Association, "It is time for a more accurate portrayal of single people and single life, one that recognizes the real strengths and resilience of people who are single and what makes their lives so meaningful." And that's what I hope to capture with the videos on this channel, is that there's nothing wrong with you. And I said it in the last video that I put out. There's nothing wrong with you, and people, there's still this view that there's something wrong with you, that you're broken or you're defective if you like to just go home and be by yourself after work and watch Netflix or write a book or play video games. There's nothing wrong with you. Just do what you have to do that makes you happy, right? There's no comments on this article, so I'm going to leave it there. That's my perspective. I'll include the link in the description box below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.